We have a really great panel for you tonight, and we're really excited to speak with all of these people. Panelists, thank you so much for being here, for being a part of this, for giving us your expertise and advice tonight. We know all of you in one form or another and have worked with all of you. So now we get to share with everyone else. Thank you to our sponsors, Cinequest Film and Creativity Festival. They empower writers and artists across the globe through inspiration, opportunity, recognition, and growth. Now in their 17th year of the competition, Cinequest presents screenwriters with virtually countless networking opportunities, increased industry visibility, and the chance to win extraordinary acclaim and prizes. The competition welcomes screenplays and teleplays of all genres and lengths and provides unique opportunities for writers to be discovered, have their work produced, win cash prizes, and further inspire their creative fervor. Cinequest is a company we've worked with and supported for many years. They are a fantastic organization. You should definitely check out their festival. They are giving everyone tonight who's here a $10 off code. Also, our partners at the #1 TV and film writing school, Script Anatomy, have developed thousands of writers and helped hone their craft. Their alums have nabbed hundreds of writing fellowships and staffing spots on shows like Selena, Dave, Lovecraft County, The Handmaid's Tale, Dead to Me, This Is Us. I could go on and on. Don't miss Script Anatomy's Screenwriting Craft Festival. This is their first year. It's coming up on November 5th to 7th. It's a 3-day weekend of workshops focused on character, world building, structure, theme, scene work, and dialogue, and it's all on Zoom. A festival pass gets you all 6 workshops for the price of 4. Plus it includes access to an evening cocktail hour, showrunner panel, and pre-recorded In the Biz talks with special guests. Don't miss out on this great opportunity to up your writing game. Script Anatomy has generously offered us 1 spot to give away tonight. One of the organizers of this festival, Tanya Bhattacharya, is a dear friend of the ISA. We have worked with her. She has been on many of these events with us. She actually is one of our Director of Education, Max Tim's mentors. She's fantastic. Please do check out the Script Anatomy Screenwriting Craft Festival. And last but not least, the Vancouver International Women in Film Festival Screenplay Competition is partnering with the ISA to recognize exceptional screenwriting by women. VIWFF is an annual film festival in Vancouver, BC, that champions women and gender diverse filmmakers, writers, and creators. The festival is hosted by Women in Film and Television Vancouver, a member-based not-for-profit organization and member of WIFT International, working toward gender-based balance in the film and television industry. And they are also generously giving 1 screenplay competition entry out tonight. It's open for women only, but a male-female writing team does qualify as well. And they're looking for unproduced feature scripts or TV pilots. And also, we just opened our virtual pitch challenge again. So get your pitches ready. We're accepting 90-second pitches. 3 people will be chosen to pitch in front of an audience and a pitch panel of industry execs. This pitch panel we've done now maybe 4-ish times. Each time we get some great successes out of it. So I do encourage you to submit. It's free. And we launched nice and early this time. So you've got a whole month to work on your pitches before you submit them. The final deadline is October 21st.
Thanks, Molly. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our panel of, I'm going to call them short film auteurs. No, I'm just kidding. I'm never going to call them auteurs because it's never an auteurs. I just did that for Clarissa. Okay, so before we get started, I would like to go around and have everyone on this panel introduce themselves and tell us what you do, what you're working on. First, we're going to start with Nate Laver. Hello, Nate.
Thank you, Shayna. I love the title of this, Kickstart Your Career with Short Film, because it's really the only way to do it. It's the way I did it. I became a filmmaker by accident. A guy knew a guy who was starting a local public access show. I figured I'll try anything 4 times. So I jumped in. We made a little career out of it for a year, learned this, learned that. And before I knew it, I was making films for advertisers. And after a number of years of that, wound up destroying Jack Daniel's whiskey barrels on film and riding on cruise ships and actually getting paid money, which was cool. So I'm trying to now get back to where I started. I've just shot a fun short with our friend Felicity here and the ISA folks. So looking forward to sharing what little I know with all of you tonight.
And what's your company called?
Brontosaurus Los Angeles.
Nice. Next, we will segue to Felicity Wren, who is our, what are you, VP of Development?
And I'm also the VP or the co-VP of development for our production arm of the ISA called Creative Screenwriter Productions. And I'm extremely excited about Creative Screenwriter Productions, and that's who I worked in conjunction with Nate with, because really it's kind of the next step for the ISA. As you know, we're madly in love with storytellers and storytelling in general. I believe it can change the world through story. I'm such a Pollyanna, but I love it. But our big aim is to really help screenwriters from the very beginning. So to hold your hand as you start to kind of work through script and development with you, and then also to be able to produce and develop features and TV shows in the future. So we're starting small. So I think that's the thing to kind of like, even with big goals and with big aims ahead, you just need to start small and you need to start with something you're passionate about, and you have to have something to believe in. And your story or a story that you're in love with is a great place to start. And I'm so pleased to be here, and I encourage everyone just to do it. There's always a reason not to do something, but you just need to begin.
Yes, thank you, Felicity. Next up, we're going to go to Joan Macbeth. Hi, Joan. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here on this panel, all these great filmmakers. I'm approaching this from the point of view of a screenwriter. And I have made a couple of short films, one not so short, co-wrote with a friend, a documentary. So I have a little bit of a mix of doing this actual thing with the motivation of kickstarting my writing career. So lately I've been working on a pilot, television pilot, 1-hour drama, and also I always have feature scripts that I'm working on. So I have representation in LA, but I live in Vancouver, British Columbia. We like to call it Hollywood North. I'm not sure why. We kind of get in a little argument sometimes with Toronto on that, but but we're the West Coast, so I think we win. Anyways, I do work on that screenplay competition for women in film in Vancouver, and so hopefully if there's writers out there that have a contribution to that, we're open for submissions until September 30th. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we're going to go to Mr. Jonathan Martin. Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Hi.
Give us a little bio on yourself.
Well, outside of in this red light district that I have rolling on in here, you'd think I was in Amsterdam, but no, I'm actually in Utah. So there you go. But the glare was so bright from before, so I kind of dimmed it. But anyway, yeah, I'm Jonathan Martin. I'm a filmmaker, but also a festival director. As a filmmaker, I've specialized in genre short films, starting to branch out into more feature films. I've also done music videos and a few industrials and shorts as far as that goes. Played quite a few festivals with my shorts. And then as a festival director, I founded and I direct FilmQuest, which is also a genre festival that we host here in Utah. We actually have our 8th annual edition coming up in October 29th through November 6th. And we showcase what we hope and what we think at least is the very best in genre cinema in the world. And that includes a screenplay competition. And so we kind of hit all the boxes. We got all the categories, all the fun. We want you all to come on out and just taste the magic. So
excellent.
Nice.
Taste the magic in your sexy red room.
Yes.
And last but not least, I left Clarissa last because Clarissa is my creative partner at Rebel Minx. And I mean, she's brilliant. What can I say? So, Clarissa, go ahead.
Wow, what an introduction. How embarrassing. No, I feel the same about Shayna, and it's great to be here. Like Shayna said, I'm part of the screenwriting filmmaking duo Rebel Makes. I did a short film called Lunch Ladies, which I did. It's hard to believe it's been on the circuit for like 5 years and has distribution, and just it's been like nonstop. And I learned so much, and so I wrote a book, because everybody always asks me how I did what I did, called I Made a Short Film, now WTF Do I Do With It? The Guide to Film Festival Promotion and Surviving the Ride. So I was, for any of you who haven't made a short film, I was you not too long ago, and I think I conquered how to do it. So I have a lot to share.
I think the most important question when it comes to making a short film is why. Is that a good question to ask? And, you know, what is the point of making a short film? Nate, I'm going to go to you first.
I love that you think I have the answer to that. There's two halves to that question, really. The one is, why does that object need to be in the world? The other is, why do you need to be the one making it? And I think you need to handle those separately. You know, one is, what are you trying to accomplish in your life? Are you building your skills? You know, my answer 15 years ago was different than it is this go around. But the answer to the second question, I think, has to always be the same. Does the world need what I'm going to say, or that I'm going to be a vessel to say right now? And I can't remember another moment in history that I've lived through where there's more important stuff surfacing right now. So for writers, man, do we have a lot to talk about.
It's true. Clarissa, what about you? What is the why? I know you cover this. This is a topic in your book. You know,
well,
making sure you know why.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Like, what is your goal? Because it will drive everything you do on the film festival route. You'll find that when you make a short film, it's really hard to make a short film, but after it, it's even harder. The marketing, the promotion, to really get going. So you have to figure out what it is, why you're making this film. For some people, they make it because they just want it to be creative. So it's not a big deal for them to market. For me, I made it as a proof of concept, and I had several goals in mind. I wanted it to be seen as much as possible. So that's why I worked so hard at the things I did, because it will really color what you do with that film on your film festival route. I think it's one of the most important things you can do, because once you have a goal and you know what you want to do with your film, it will drive all your social marketing, all the marketing, because it's a really, really time intensive and exhausting once you make the short. It's awesome, but that having that goal will help you get through it.
Yes. Jonathan, what do you say about the why?
About the why, you know, I'm just going to give like a little story real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah.
If I can tell little stories. I remember the very first thing I ever wrote was a feature screenplay. I don't think a short film was ever in my thought process at all. And I wasn't even in school for film. I was in school for business, but I wanted to get into the business of film. And so I didn't know anything what I was doing, if I'm going to be real and honest about that. And then, you know, I tried to get this feature film going, and eventually I had an opportunity to make a documentary short film, which was actually a different way of getting into things. And so my why was to actually start to be able to say I was a real filmmaker, and to actually have those opportunities and to learn how to do this. And man, if it would have really sucked, I probably would have stopped, you know? I mean, I'm not gonna act like it was like amazing, but it didn't suck. So that was okay as far as it goes. And that, you know, that taught me a lot as far as it goes. And so for me, that was a big catapult into helping me get into becoming a filmmaker. And then I kind of started liking shorts, started realizing what they could do. And then that led to another why, which was like, well, why do I do it? And, you know, you feel it inside your bones and all that sort of thing. And ultimately that led me to making a horror short film. I don't think I ever wanted to make a horror short necessarily, but then there was this opportunity and the story started coming together, and I'll kind of leave it there. But, you know, as soon as that kind of took hold, you realized, hey, you know, I think there's something fun here. So anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Excellent. We'll get back to you for some more details about
that.
Joan, what about you?
That was a great story. I think I was, when I first started on making films, I was looking for writing credits.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think, when I started out, I was feeling a little invisible as a writer. And there's kind of an analogy to that, because when you think of film, that's the picture up there. And the writer is often the invisible one.
Mhm.
So, I never really was setting out to be a filmmaker per se. I really just wanted to be a screenwriter, do that, and just, being pragmatic, kind of, okay, let's get some writer credits so that I'm no longer invisible on IMDb, at least. So that's how I got started with it. And
Well, that's a really good reason to
yeah,
do
well,
something.
I feel like there might be a lot of writers out there,
Mhm.
that might have a similar need or situation
Yeah.
to get something going like that. So I was really happy to join this panel.
Felicity, what have you seen from writers creating short films, from their perspective of why, and then, where does that sort of catapult somebody? Or where can it catapult you?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it's more about the ability to learn, because if you want a crash course in being a better writer, being a better actor, being a better producer, being a better director, all this happens when you do it. So I think doing a short film is the easiest and the best way to learn, one, what you love, two, what your skills are, three, if you're really, really dedicated and want to do this. And then after that, it gives you an excuse to go to brilliant film festivals and build a community and a network and find friends and other people like you to continue down this road. I mean, it seems to me that the people that are really successful and have production companies and are making films, or kind of these gangs almost, basically, they just want to find their people to go and make movies with them. So you find your best friends, and then you hang out with them, and you've got a shortcut, and you create something wonderful that you hope says something to the world. So I think if you can learn a lot from doing it about yourself as you are as a human, it makes you understand what you care about. Because when you write the film, I always say to our writers, oh my goodness, you leave yourself on the page. Even if you try and hide, you're right there. And I think it can hopefully guide you in your future, as in, is it worth it? Because you shouldn't do it for the money. Because I tell you what, there's not very much in it, unless you're a kind of some unicorn or a miracle. But I mean, it should be enjoyable for you. And I think if it feeds your soul, and the one thing as well about being curious is that makes life more interesting. So if it makes your life more interesting to follow this dream and learn this stuff, then do it.
Excellent. Jonathan, I'm going to come to you with this question, since you festival, Clarissa and Jonathan specifically, since you guys have seen a gazillion short films. What makes a great short film?
Oh man. That's a bit of a loaded question, because
it is loaded. That's all I give. It's just
because honestly, every short is unique, right?
Yeah. But they're not all great, right?
No, they're definitely not all great. I'll tell you that. So as far as that goes, but what makes a great short film? Listen, at the end of the day, and I say this at our award ceremony now, is they're all just opinions, right? Like when we're talking about some of this thing, at the end of the day, these are just opinions. But nonetheless, obviously, it just sounds like a broken drum, but the story is gonna win the day through, right? You got to have a good story, whether it's a ridiculous, over the top, almost where somebody being like, this story is dumb. Yeah, but it's done really well, this dumb story, right? But whatever, or you could have something really profound. It doesn't matter, as long as what you're trying to do is great, and that story that you're trying to tell, that's always gonna push things over the edge as far as it goes. But there's a lot of other factors that go into it, right? There's sometimes, it's one thing that we often see a lot is sometimes it's often talked about that a short film can be too long, but sometimes a short film's too short. and you want more of what's going on screen. And whether the filmmakers ran out of steam, or they didn't have enough money, or they just didn't think they could keep doing it, because once you're actually in the mess of it, you can add a day or two oftentimes, right? You could add maybe 12 more hours, 6 more hours.
Right.
You can get more mileage out of what you're doing. And so I think if I were to be pressed right now with my feet to the coals, I would say is don't hold back. I think that's what prevents films from really becoming great. Not just shorts, but any film, right? And just go for the home run. Don't go for a double. You know, you're in the bottom of the
Don't
ninth.
play
The
it safe.
double's not, you know,
Yeah.
don't play it safe. Like you have nothing to lose and everything to win. Because if you make a short film, that's not good, and you know it's not very good, or you find out through the grapevine it's not very good, it's not going to hurt you, because guess what? Nobody's going to see it. So
Right.
nobody's going to know that you have this POS sitting there in a corner, right? Like nobody's going to see this film, but they're going to see the great film. They're going to see the film, or even something that's solid. And that's going to help you get going as far as that goes. And I'll just leave with this. My comment before you go on is, I would say at a film festival, say you got 100 films, right? Let's just say you have 100 short films. I would say about 15 to 20 of those are truly great. Like if we're talking percentages, like really great. And then the rest are pretty good. And then you'll have maybe about 5 or 10, generally speaking. I'm not saying that's all festivals and stuff. And you may have 5 or 10 that you took risks on, or they were trying to tell a story. And you're like, you know what, let's take a risk. They were experimenting here. Let's see what we can do here, so that we'll see how audiences react to it and stuff. Because it is different watching something from a computer and then sharing it with an audience. It really is a different experience. And I definitely want to talk about that later when it comes to sales. So let me remember to talk about that.
No.
But really, so you have to remember there's a smaller percentage that is truly, truly great, but there's a much larger percentage that's really good. And that's not a bad place to be.
Right. And Clarissa, you've traveled from festival to festival, seeing tons of short films. What, in your opinion, makes a good or successful short film?
The script. Seriously. I'm writer first and foremost. I had to fight really hard to get credit on my film, because everybody always wants to give. Now I had an amazing director, but they always want to only give the director. It's the director's vision. It's the director's vision. No, it's not. This is the age-old thing between directors and writers. But I will tell you, I never saw a great film that didn't have a great script. And if it's on the page, it's going to be on the film. And I learned that with Lunch Ladies, because my mentor would tell me that. He's like, it's on the page. And I was terrified. I was terrified to see how it was going to turn out. But he was right. It was on the page. Probably 98% of what I wrote is in the script. Now, there are people that do improv stuff. There are people that fly by the seat of the pants. But, a lot of those are savants, like most people cannot pull that off. And I think that the main problem I see is people just can't wait to film. They rely too much on their directing vision. They fly by the seat of their pants. And, I believe you work that freaking script until it squeaks, and be willing to give up your darlings, if you have to edit stuff out, and earn your time. I see a lot of films, it could be great films, but the director or even the writer wanted to be in the editing room. And I really think it's important to have an outside eye that's able to cut your darlings down, because there's a lot of great, there's films I see that could be really, really great. And they have like 3 minutes extra time on them, and they end up sucking because of just that 3 minutes extra time. But to me, the number one important thing is don't rush the filming process until you have, and I'm talking working in front of people, get it read out loud, get it right, because if it's not right on the page, it's not going to be right on the screen. I don't care if you have Scorsese freaking directing your short film. To me, it's the script is everything. So there you go.
Amen, sister. So Nate, for you, coming from production side, what to you makes a great short? And talk a little bit about the writing when you receive the script. Are you a writer also, or?
I started there,
Okay.
but chased chased the career into directing. And I want to thank Jonathan and Carissa for those pep talks. Those are amazing.
I know, right?
I feel ready to do anything all of a sudden. And you've actually changed my answer a little bit, because I was just gonna say that a successful short film establishes a style. And that's pretty much it. But you're right, Clarissa. If the bones aren't there, the ante to get in there is a good story. The words have to be right. The beats have to be right. You do have to be ruthless, kill your darlings, all those things. But the films that I can think of, short ones, that have led to the type of success that either met or exceeded their authors' dreams were things like South Park started with a short. And what they did was create a great script, but they put it into a style that was indelible. And it's a style that never expires. Robert Rodriguez started that way. He took this concept of pulp and applied, just magnified everything. And you see his first short, and all the elements of his voice and style and personality are in there. Someone else could have taken that same script and not gotten a career out of it. So for me, a successful short film becomes an unforgettable style first, because there are tons of great stories out there, and that's not to diminish good stories. But the thing that's going to separate a good story from one that's going to stick around is applying a voice to it.
So on that note, let's talk about collaboration. How important is collaboration? And Joan, I'm going to come to you for that. How important, you're a writer first. How important is collaboration? How important is not having somebody be an auteur and thinking that it's just their complete vision? Like, do you have to have a team of great people working with you to make a great short?
Totally. It was all collaboration. And I have to say, when I did the first short, and I had a writing partner, which was the first time I've really written with someone else. But it started out as her story, but she was an actor and not really a writer yet. And so she very humbly came to me to collaborate. So it started as a collaboration, and it just went from there. The short film, when we finished it, we said, there's more to say here. And so we made a web series. We did 6 more episodes. So in a sense, I did a series of 6 more shorts with the same characters. And in that instance, I ended up directing, because our director from the original short had to go back to school. And I just kind of went, well, I wasn't really expecting to direct, but okay. And for me, that wasn't my goal, but I just thought, well, who else? So I never thought of myself as an auteur, because I didn't really know anything about directing other than watching the director from the first one. So it really was a really great learning experience. It was total collaboration. The only reason that I could do it was we found people that were highly skilled in their job. So like I had a great cinematographer, and so many people to help me. And I just gave up being a writer for a little while and was a director. So it was totally collaborative.
Excellent. Felicity, what about collaboration? Do you think that it makes it better, or?
Yeah, I think, not everyone makes it better. But I think you will find out pretty quickly. But I think collaboration is, I feel everything's a reflection of life, even short film making. So the people you choose to be in your life to make your life better is kind of the same with the people you're going to work with on a short film. I think if people let you down, I think trust people when they, for what they do rather than what they say. So you want to work with people that actually do the things they say they're going to do, rather than just say it and never do it. There's a lot of people who make promises they can't keep, but you'll find out along the way And I think, yeah, find your tribe, find your gang. I think you can learn so much from everyone else. Even if they're being rubbish, it can teach you something about yourself. And so I think just being open. But then also, if you are the writer or the director, you do need your own vision. And I think to stand by the reasons why you did it and the themes you wanted to explore, and just kind of like fight for that. Sometimes you need to be able to do that too. Nate and I worked on a short together that we talked about. And I felt like I was the producer on it, and I felt like a terrible person. I was like, it seems like my favorite word to you is no. I mean, it was literally, can I do that? No. But can we start here? No. But in the end, Nate knew what to fight for, and he fought for the things that he felt would really enhance the storytelling. And I knew when to give in and to listen to him. So I feel like you want someone who you can be honest with, truly be yourself, truly be honest, and choose your battles. And don't be afraid to, be vulnerable. Say your truth, tell your truth.
All right, good. Let's get to some criteria about short films. So there's a lot of questions always going around, like, what's the best genre to make a short film? Wow, what's the best to go out to as many festivals as you can? What's the perfect length? How many cast is, how many people are too many in a short film? How many locations are too many? So I'm going to throw this out to anyone who wants to jump in. Let's talk about all the different criteria and all the different, well, how long does it have to be in, and how many people, and where's it set, and all of that stuff. Maybe Jonathan, I'll go to you.
Thank you for starting with me on that one, because I have so many answers as far as that goes. I actually really do have a lot of answers as far as it goes. I had a really clever reply to the collaboration thing too, but
go ahead.
Okay. No, we're not going to get into that as well, but no, it's okay. I'm here. I'm with you now. I'm with the people. So what I would say is, look, not everybody likes horror, right? But somebody likes sci-fi, or somebody just likes drama, and they don't like comedy. There's all sorts of criteria. I'm going to put that in its own box, because you do you as far as that goes. There's enough festivals in the world, and there's enough prestigious festivals, there's enough bottom feeder festivals, and there's enough middle level film festivals to satisfy any type of film that you're going to make, right? Even bizarro, experimental. I saw things this year I wish I hadn't seen that was XXX rated, and I was like, what is this? I'm dead curious. I'm like, well, who thought to send me this? But anyway, just going off with it, because it was just like, whoa, there it is. But just coming back to it, don't send me that. Please don't send me that. You're not going to get any festivals with pornography. But there's a festival for that too, I guarantee it. So coming back to it, what's the criteria? You mentioned the perfect length. What's interesting is, I think that sweet spot that people talk about is probably 5 to 10 minutes. But the biggest award winners that I've seen, and I can attest to this, because all three of my major short pieces are over 25 minutes long each, which they typically say is the kiss of death. Yet, and I don't want to toot it, but I want you to know that this is real, this is possible. Those have played over 250 film festivals around the world, and some of the most prestigious genre festivals as well. I'm a genre guy, and they've done very, very well in terms of accolades. And what I found is, it's the longer ones that are about 15 minutes and up that clean house when they go to awards, when it comes to accolades and things like that. And a lot of reasons for that is, it's not necessarily budget, although that can be a factor into it that allows you to make a bigger story, but it's that strength of story, right? You're more likely to be able to create a 3-act structure within a longer piece. And I know that's something with my films, they all had a 3-act structure within them. And there was always an arc, maybe some more successfully than others, but there was still an arc that kind of went in with it. And I think that as I've looked at it, and obviously running a festival, it's that, again, you guys are all going to hear this, and you all hear it all the time. It's story, story, story. And I'm not the biggest story slut in the world, but at the end, because I do like style and spectacle, I really do like that, like Nathan was saying, as far as it goes. And then I would actually say, now to come back to what you were saying, Nathan, is yeah, style is a big part of the criteria, though, is finding your voice. And of course, you'll find that voice in your writing. And then if you take the plunge and start directing as well, you'll come in. And I'll just tell this one little tell. When I made my first horror short, I had a DP on it. His name's Devin Graham. You might know him on YouTube. He became pretty YouTube famous as Devin Supertramp. And I guarantee you've seen some of his videos. I guarantee it. Like, there's always people flying off things into giant lakes and, you know, and just having a good time like it's an endless summer. And anyway, this was all before then. And I remember the first night that we shot the film, it was an all-nighter. Kind of sucked. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the style of it, everything wasn't there. And while the talent was there, I think like we weren't quite nailing it. And then it was in the final setups of the night that we finally, boom, there it was. Now we have it. So if you see those dailies, and so we ended up reshooting the whole thing and all that. But what I'm getting at is we finally were able to find that style and that voice of what it was we were trying to do. And it took us a day of shooting. And I know not everybody has that luxury. And I don't know what would have happened to my career and all that if I didn't find that. I don't know. I know I probably wouldn't be here right this moment, you know, giving advice and stuff like that. And it really informed, I think, both of us as we went forward, not just on the project, but with what we looked for and what it was that we wanted to do and what type of stories we were telling as well. And so anyway, that's obviously what I say. Criteria is, if you want to get into a lot of festivals, keep it to about 5 to 10 minutes. If you want to clean house at festivals, try and put some gusto into it on top of making it good, but then also make it story. And I'll just do a little shout out here. Clarissa's film Lunch Ladies won Best Comedy Short at FilmQuest. And it's what, a 17 and a half minute long short? 19 minutes long short. So you see.
And we had people not put it in festivals because it was too long, but it didn't hurt it.
No,
you can't win. I mean, if you have a shorter film, you might get in more festivals, but if you have a longer film, you're the heavyweight. So
yeah,
I say just earn your time, whatever your time is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'll zip up now.
Nate, what for you? Tell us how many shorts you've made and sort of like, what's your sweet spot? What do you make sure that, like, what are 3 things that all your short films are like, okay, here's what we know we need?
Each one's got to be different unless you're someone who does a thing. And you're advanced in your career if you already have your thing. If you're not yet, you're looking for it. So you're trying things. Each story is going to guide the tools you need to make it. And the rudder for me is remembering you really make the film in 3 places: the writing, the performance, and editorial. Everything else is just grammar and context. And that's not to diminish those crafts because they're important. But if you let those 3 phases be the rudder for everything you do, you don't have to get worked up over, we don't have the best camera in the world. The camera in your pocket is better than most cameras that they were making films with for years. You know, Tangerine is such a great, like, inspiring story. They made that on an iPhone. Excuse me. So don't get caught up in the tools at all. Truthfully, just remember those 3 things. And in terms of, you know, the films I've made, you know, I try to be eclectic. It's an exploration for me, you know. So I'm inspired by finding new ways to do things, by finding new uses for technology or new uses for, like Felicity said, my crew, the people who inspire me. If someone cracks you up, find a way to get them in a film. If someone inspires you, tell their story. That's pretty much it.
Excellent. I'm going to jump into talking about, I know we have a lot of writers on here, a lot of people who are questioning, like, making their very first short film. Like, oh my gosh, this is something I want to do. I have no idea how I'm supposed to do this. Clarissa, I'm going to come to you because obviously when you jumped in to do Lunch Ladies, you had never done a short before. And you kind of were like the majority of people here who haven't done it, where you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And now I'm going to go. So can you just talk a little bit about the beginning phases of putting together Lunch Ladies, and did you crowdfund? Did you use your own money? Did you, like, what were those beginning steps, and how was it for you bringing a crew together? Like, what was your process?
Okay, so I had saved my money, so I had my full budget, so I didn't crowdfund it. And I do think it's important. There's something great about having your own skin in the game, because you don't have to answer to anybody, you don't owe anybody anything, and you really, really push the project because it's your freaking money. You had asked a question about if you can have too many locations, too many people. I didn't know. So I ended up having a film that had 120 people in the cast and crew, and I shot in a school, which is notoriously one of the most hardest locations to get, but I did it. I called like 140 schools, and I found a school that let me kill children in it. It's like, my movie is about children being killed, so the first thing is, you can do anything. You can do anything you set your mind to, and you surround yourself with people that know more than you, and you listen to them. So there were a lot of things I didn't know. I had an amazing director who knew a lot of stuff. Like, I know two things. I know screenwriting, I know acting, and I know that I'm good at producing because I worked in an office. If you have those skills to organize, and you put yourself out there, you ask for things, you got to be ballsy, like calling up schools every day, you got to be ballsy. But you find people, I'd say to the director, who do you know that can do this for me? Who do you know? I don't know how to do that. Show me how to do that. Show me how to do it. If the set designer says, this is the better way to do it, I say, okay, that's the better way to do it. The set designer knows more than I did. So little by little, I built this team. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know where to find makeup artists. I went to the New York Film School, and I said, can you post something that I can get some PAs there? I got four incredible PAs. I got an incredible line producer there. I found a costumer that told me about, so like, you just find your people, believe you can do it. And one thing I really learned was anything that you think is bad is actually good if you just get out of the way. So like, if something bad happens, somebody drops out, you know what? Embrace it. Somebody better comes along. I know you're freaking out when you're doing it. I was, but when I started to just kind of rest into it, because half the game of making a short film is going with the punches. Because there will be stuff that's going to get screwed up. And if you can just be calm and go, okay, I lost that set designer because they did this. Guess what? A better set designer is going to come in. So the main important things, and to be prepared, like nobody's sitting there with a gun or, at your head saying you've got to have this film done in 2 weeks. If you're, we took, I want to say 4 months prepping for this film that I did. We took our time. And everything was in place when we were ready to shoot. So take your time, so yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. I think what's so important, I spent years in reality TV producing. So we were always with zero budget and always problem solving in the moment, because you never knew, we didn't have a script. So you never knew what you were going to get. For me, that was such a great tool to jump into filmmaking, because now I literally can just have a problem and you go, okay, here's what we're going to do. And you just you do something else and you figure it out. So, Clarissa did that on Lunch Ladies, and she literally found people that then recommended somebody else that recommended somebody else. And she was relentless, and she was organized, and she let people do their job. And I think that that's part of what made it successful, besides her sticking to her guns and her sticking to, here's what I want to make. Here's the script. Here's what I want in it. Here's what you're going to go do. And she really did stand by her story. So and it
wasn't always easy.
No,
I would call Shane up crying. I would call my mentor up crying. I'd be like, oh my God, I can't do this. Or this person wants this, or that person wants this. And I just would pull my big girl pants on, pull your big girl and your big boy pants on and just suck it up,
Jonathan's waving his finger.
Yeah, I want to add something real quick if I can. The director of Lunch Ladies, for Clarissa, he has, just to say his chops as far as that goes, he has another film with us this year at FilmQuest called The Relic. And I'm not going to lie, it's one of my personal favorites that was submitted to us the whole year. The dude's badass. Like, he's got the chops. He's got the goods. And
I found him on LinkedIn.
Oh, and she found him on LinkedIn,
Actually,
that's
and
what
another
it
guy
is.
recommended him that I met at a bar. That's how I found my director.
And it turns out the guy's got the goods. And I'm just saying, like, talking about, fortunate things, I'm just there to reemphasize, like, no, the guy's the real deal and Clarissa's the real deal. And when you bring real deals together.
I know talent. I'm like that person, that person, that person, that person. And if you don't know talent, find somebody who does know talent.
Right. Joan, what about you? What was it like when you made your first short?
Well, the first one, I'd say we were pragmatic. I didn't direct, so I kind of, stood back, and I think we had self-funded, because we did do crowdfunding for the web series after. But yeah, I mean, it was a shoestring budget, and we kind of just did it. Kind of the fun thing about this was, because we didn't have a lot of money, and it was an all-female cast and crew. And because we didn't have enough money, and because, I guess this is my women in film influence here, but everybody worked in the industry here in Vancouver. But if they were a cinematographer by film school training, they work as a gaffer, so in their day job. Okay, but their dream is to be a cinematographer. So we upped everybody's ante. Every time they're going to do a cinematographer job, we're giving them the credit. And
Nice.
people who weren't anything, they're going to be a PA on a real film set, even though they're just a film student, haven't done really much of anything. So, and we just did that with everybody that we could.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah,
that's how you get people to be invested in your project.
Totally.
That's how you get people to want to do more for you. Because that's what you need. You have to create that environment.
Yeah, because we didn't pay on the first one at all, but it was a quick shoot. We fed everybody really well. and we did that
very important
with the credits. So I don't remember what the question was, but that was my answer.
You did great. You answered it. Just about your first short film and, sort of like what it entailed. You answered it great. Nate, what about you?
Shana, you said the word investment, and that's, I think, the most important word. We talk about money in shorts, and it's something you can't escape from. But Joan, you're throwing me back to some of my early experiences too. I've never had a better on-set experience than when no one was getting paid, because we were all there for the same reason. And we were all in our early 20s, and we all had this dream, and there were 7 of us. That was our squad. And we just got together every weekend and made stuff. And part of me knew I'll never have it this good again. And you can't get there until you're on the other side, and you're like, Scorsese's got that, and then Nate had that in 2003. But in between, we're all scrounging and scrapping it together. And the danger zone is when you have different styles of investment in the same place. And that happens from time to time. You have someone getting paid who invariably is a little, oh, this is a job, or you have me for this long only, or whatever. They're on a different set of rules than another set of people who are a gaffer who's there to come up and level up, and who's there to create a career and a life and a vision for themselves. But when you have people on set who have different forms of investment, you can do it, but it's tougher.
Right. So we're going to talk about funding your short film, and then we're going to talk about distribution. And then I'm going to get to these questions so we can get sort of through those. So who wants to talk about funding? Where the heck do you get money to make a short film, people? Where do you get it?
Feed people, by the way.
That's true. Yes. Feed people.
That's number one. Put that up top.
Yeah, you definitely got to feed them, and you got to feed them the good stuff, right? No Little Caesars here. You got to go all out, you gotta at least get some tacos from Taco Bell, and then
some breakfast burritos.
I'm trying to think of all the junk food I could come up with, That's better
Breakfast
than Little
burritos
Caesars.
go a long way.
Yeah, breakfast
I
burritos
mean-
definitely go a long way at 4 in the morning.
I was on an
Yeah.
overnight shoot once and the crew almost revolted because the producer showed up with bananas and granola bars at 11 p.m. And there was just a flat out work stoppage until he came back with real food in the
Yeah.
middle of New Hampshire.
Food will
at
take you far.
midnight.
Here's a great hack if you don't have, I actually cooked 200 homemade chocolate chip cookies for my set. And I will tell you, it was a lot of freaking work, but people lost their minds and that made them like super into working.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can do little things like that, maybe you don't have that much money for your craft, but if you just, you know, just a little thing like that is, I don't know. It
Well,
really
Clarissa makes really good cookies. So don't just do some like, you know, throw in your oven.
Honestly, I know that we're going on this like little tangent of food, but on my second short, like I was leveling up, right? So I had like a bigger budget, everything like that. So we're like, we're gonna get a catering service. Biggest waste of money in my life, especially for a short film. Do not get a catering service like company, because I'm not making. One lunch came in and it was just tuna sandwiches. And it was these overpriced tuna sandwiches. When I'm like, I remember I had Doug Jones on the film. If you know Doug Jones from Star Trek, Hellboy, all that sort of thing. And I ended up telling him the story. There's more to the story that I'm telling. And he goes, and if you know Doug Jones, you'll understand what I'm talking about. He goes, oh, child, I would have just had pizzas every day. That's how I would have done that, you know, like I didn't have to do that, you know, like as far as it goes. But oh, poor child, I never would have done that. But it was like, but I'm telling you, it was just tuna sandwiches that was paying way more than
And
we
make sure
should
you
have.
know, yeah, I had a
You know?
caterer, but I had a lot of people on my set, but I had a bad caterer the first time. The lunch ladies had to fire the lunch ladies. So yeah, you gotta know that food is
Yeah.
like, because it's embarrassing if it's not good.
Yeah.
Feed them on time and make sure there's enough for everybody for seconds if they want. So
Mhm.
there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Anyway.
So we were talking about how do people get money? What are different options for funding a short film? And Joan, maybe you can dive into this.
Yeah, so we didn't really have a budget, but we did that initial short film. And then we decided we're going to do a web series. So we thought we'd better do Indiegogo. And you know, the good part of doing the short film first is we actually had some footage shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we could make trailers. And so a lot of times if you're just starting out and you're just a script, there's not too much visual that you can use to enhance your, you know, oh, we're making a film.
Mm-hmm.
Indiegogo is kind of boring sometimes. So, you know, we were lucky that way, or I guess that's luck. It's something. So anyways, so we did raise that. It's a few $1,000s. We had decided that we would pay people something. So everybody got paid something. So makeup people got a kit fee, daily kit fee, which is kind of their minimum wage for makeup. And then everybody got something per day. We have in Vancouver, like a couple of the actors were union, but we have a union low budget, like a daily, I think it's $50 a day or something. So we didn't have that many actors, and we did that. And that, you know, so, you know, we kind of upped our game by, okay, this isn't a real, you know, big set, but we're doing it on the weekends when the union people don't usually have a gig. And we did it. We paid everybody. You know, I was sorry that at the timing, I got to say what happened was on the short film, we had started entering that one in festivals, and we got accepted to quite a few. And our world premiere was going to be in Athens, Greece. And I think we were finishing Indiegogo and getting ready to shoot. Like there's some overlap in our Indiegogo and our first day of shooting, our first weekend of shooting. And so that was the day that was, you know, like I would have liked to have had a world premiere somewhere exotic, but I didn't get to go. But anyways, yeah, it was all in all, you know, it kind of worked out. I had, I think I had a fair bit of personal investment on top of the Indiegogo, but you know, it was all worth doing.
Right. Felicity, I'm going to go to you since the way that, you know, some of the shorts that we do are funded through a contest win. So can you talk a little bit about that option?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking about, because I really think you have to just, again, like Clarissa said, you have to kind of be ballsy. So first you have to ask everyone you've ever known. So start with that and just go like, hey, you got $50 that you'd like to invest, you know what I mean? You'd like to, and I think so begin there, but then also just look for, there are several contests that are pretty cheap to begin with at the beginning. So you want all those early, because you need money even to enter some contests, that's the thing, but there are some early bird options. So always go for the early bird options. And maybe you might even win something. We have our own one called Shoot Your Sizzle, where you can actually win some money to help get your script produced. And you can begin with that. Now it tends to be a starter fund rather than a full fund. But I would look for all of those. So all those contests, I mean, just do a Google search for, you know, even if you just submitted the script, so the short script, there might be some prize money for winning for the short script. And then there are other ones where you can make it, table reads, all that stuff, any kind of ways to enter contests to earn money where the prize is at, have a look at those and enter early. I would also say there are quite a few different grants. If your short is about something that is very socially conscious, or is very inclusive, or is very female forward, as Joan's was, you know, for females in front of, behind the camera, you know, you can actually use that to your advantage, because there are certain groups looking to support people that are doing that in filmmaking, especially right now. If you have something about disability, anything that makes you stand out. I think if you're going to do a social media campaign for Indiegogo or those fundraising ones, Kickstarters, then you almost have to make it like a military campaign. You know, you have to tweet about it often. You have to kind of get stills from other things. You have to find movies that it's like. You have to start to get actors. If you get an actor on board, get them as part of your sales pitch. You know, you just have, but you have to plan it like it's an attack. You have to keep at it. You have to ask more often than is polite. And I think the thing is, like, I mean, this happens when you, like, as Clarissa said, like, even when you're selling the film afterwards or taking it to festivals or promoting it, all of this stuff is, you have to be more forceful than probably you would like to be.
Right.
And then also, I think, you know, you do have like Twitter, Instagram, find the other people that are in your community, Facebook, speak to them about, you know, you might be able to find other people who are part of that community that are even going to be part of it. And there are some people that might want tax write-offs, you know, I mean, have you got a friend who's got who's rich, and they're like, oh, you know what you need is like a nice 10 grand tax write-off to do my short film, because you probably will not make the money back. But, you know, it's kind of, so I think, you know, just there's something as well about putting yourself out there. That I don't know if not everyone's kind of into spiritual, you know, kind of like mumbo jumbo, whatever, but there's something about being vulnerable, putting yourself out there, asking, and really having something that it's somehow, I think things start to align weirdly. If you have faith in yourself and faith in the project, believe, you know, it's feel the dreams. If you build it, they will come. So, I mean, I feel, you know, have faith. And
excellent. So let's get to distribution. So I know it's like Clarissa's book title, I made a short film, now WTF do I do with it? You've made your short film. Now, oh, look, oh, it went dark on me. What do you do with it? How do you get it out there? What are the best ways to go about having people see your short film? And I'm gonna let anybody jump in, maybe Jonathan, Joan, Clarissa. Talk to me about getting your film out there, distribution, sales, all of that.
I'm gonna let Nathan go here. I could tell he wants to talk.
Go, Nate.
No, I'm the one who has no idea how to answer this
you're
question. I have absolutely nothing to add.
All right, Clarissa,
I have
go.
some ideas. Okay, so first of all, if you really want distribution, there's a guy named Jerome Kershon who's like, talks about distribution, who's an expert on distribution. One of the things that he coined the phrase, I didn't even realize I was doing this, but have a pedigree for your film. And by that, I mean, it's on, like, you want to get in good festivals, but even more important than that in some ways is getting reviews. And I just did that the good old fashioned way, finding who my core audience is, which was like, you know, horror people, and Googling and just emailing. And you'll send out, I send out probably freaking 400 emails to people, and you're going to get 10%, you know, so you get 40 back. But, you know, but every day you're just sending out. So you get reviews. Okay. Word starts to get around. And the more the word starts to get around, then other festivals start hearing about you. You start getting buzz. So I'll tell you like a really short story about how I got my sales rep for Lunch Ladies. So Lunch Ladies was in Clermont-Ferrand, which is this amazing film festival, one of the best short film festival in the world, bar none. And we were not in the competitive part. We were waitlisted for the competitive part, but we were put in the food section instead. And I was thrilled. I didn't care. Now what happens is all the top sales reps in the world, they come to Clermont-Ferrand, they look and they pick stuff, right? But they only go to the competitive stuff. Well, some word got out about Lunch Ladies, and then Josh, my director, knew somebody. And so by a fluke, the sales rep went to see my film, our film, even though it wasn't in the competitive section. And that's how I got my sales rep. And then Canal Plus heard about it, and that's how I got that. I also, through word of mouth and people hearing about it, ended up becoming friends with the people from France 24. And there's about, I don't know how many, there's a ton of films at Clermont-Ferrand. And Clermont-Ferrand is like known all over France. And when France 24 did a little spot, guess which film was in there? Lunch Ladies. And all of that is from creating a pedigree. That's from me getting reviews, social marketing, putting stuff on Facebook. So like you want to get buzz about your film because there's a ton of good films. I mean, I have a good film. I love my film. There's lots of great films. They're just as good as Lunch Ladies. It didn't have the success with distribution. And it's because they would put it in a festival and they forget about it. They think people are going to show up for seats. They don't promote it. They don't promote the festival. They don't, and you know, it's work, but that is one way, is to get that buzz and to go to as many film festivals as you can to make those networking so that people start hearing about you. And then this person says, and that person, then filmmakers help you out too. They'll get you in festivals too by going, oh, I love your film. Let me talk to this festival I was in and recommend it. You know, I've done that for tons of filmmakers. So that's, and one more thing, don't take the first distribution person that comes down the pike before you've even been on the film festival, because there's these distributors come out, they want to just pick everything up right away before it's even out, because they want to beat everybody else. But you might get something better on down, you know, so be nice to everybody, answer everything, but you don't need to pick the first thing that comes down the pike. So that's kind of my condensed answer, but create a pedigree for your film. And when you start getting that buzz, you'll get some distribution offers. I don't know, Jonathan, I'm sure has had that.
Yeah, I got some things. I can say it. No. I mean, I'm going back in time a little bit into a magical time and place called 2011. And, you know, not too long ago, the Obama years. Anyway, they were a brighter age and period of time. No, anyway, so coming in, no, when we were all young. No, but coming back to it, you know, everything Clarissa said is spot on. And I'm just going to try and add to that as far as it goes. No, but it's true. It's true. You build up a pedigree, and unless you already have a relationship with some of these sales agents or distributors, especially for shorts, you really do have to go the festival circuit route. But don't kid yourself as well. They're not necessarily at every single festival. When my first short got picked up, it ended up getting picked up by Shorts International, was on Shorts TV, all that sort of thing, which was cool. But I got several offers from others. And I'm not going to lie, they found it at some, like, I later found out, some sort of hole in the wall festival in Toronto, but that's where they saw it. Like, sometimes where they find this is, you know, like in a surprising location. And I never would have guessed, you know, that happened, but it came from putting the film out there. And then after that, you get more experienced, you start to discover more things and more opportunities. And now coming in with like the festival FilmQuest that I run, we just announced a partnership with Alter and Dust via Gunpowder and Sky. And they came to us actually, because they had been seeing the quality of our submissions, not submissions, excuse me, our selections. And it turned out, I think I looked at it one year, I was like, holy cow, like 80% of everything we took, you guys are taking. Like not what we took, but I mean like what I'm seeing here, like 80% of what I see you guys have, like we played as well. And so there was obviously a lot of synergy there. And you'll start to see, and others will start to recognize what it is. So when you're looking at, and I'm going to take that different approach, when you're looking at festivals, look at the festivals that do have these people and these outlets possible for you. Do your homework and do your research. You know, back in the dark ages, when all there was Without a Box, and you know, you really had to. I mean, it was, it was like, I'm not kidding. When I was doing my first submissions back then, and this was at the beginning of 2011, kind of end of 2010, beginning of 2011, like we're literally half of my submissions, I'd have to burn a DVD and ship it out to wherever it was. And you'd have to fill out a physical form. And as helpful as Without a Box was, you'd really have to do your homework. But that comes back to it. Like I must have spent, for every film festival I submitted to outside of a couple no-brainers, I must have spent 30 minutes researching that festival. I'd look at its website. I'd look at everything about it to tell me, is this a quality event? Is this worth my money? Is this worth my time if things come in? And fortunately, I started getting a lot of selections. So that gave me a lot more confidence to submit to more and more. But as coming back to like Clarissa said, it is a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie, I did very similar to what she did with that first film. And when the next shorts came around, I was like, forget this. This is too much work. I'm just going to put it out there and ride that gravy train that I like built as far as that goes. Because it's a lot of work, especially when you're establishing it. But I want to point out something else that I really want to say, and it goes for both features and shorts. It's more for features. But keep this in mind right now, like for these distributors and sales agents, and there's a lot of great people involved with this. So I'm not saying this to like be disparaging. But your film, for most of them, is just product. Yep. And they're looking for product, right? They're not going to care about it as much as you do. They're not as invested in it as you are. They're just looking, can we make a buck off of it? Does it fit our programming? Does it fit our lineup? And all that. But remember this, and this is always going to be the importance of film festivals, especially as we go forward. And this will relate to your film. Film festivals, as we go through more and more into streaming and less films are going to be in theaters, film festivals are the last place that you're actually going to get the theatrical experience with a live audience. It's going to be the last stand, basically. So you have to decide as you go forward, is that the experience you want on top of everything else? Because the landscape's going to be very different in 2031 than it is in 2021. And it's going to be more, there's going to be less theatrical choices for you, and your only option is going to be festivals if you want that choice. So that's why it's going to be even more important to do your homework and do your research and see who you could share these experiences with. And now,
and that just made me sad, but then happy, because there are going to be festivals. They're going to be out there and you can go sit.
Well, we could debate that, Jonathan, because I don't think theatrical is going away.
No, I don't think theatrical is going away. I'm talking about the opportunities.
Yeah.
Theatrical experience is what I'm saying. They're going to become slimmer.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm a big believer in the theater.
Yeah.
Was that can I cross off my note?
Yeah. I'm a big believer in that, just to be clear.
Can I cross off my note? Was that what you wanted to talk about? Or is there another thing about sales, a story? I just wrote a note that you wanted to talk about.
I think that was it. I think that was it. I think I hit it. Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
All right, excellent. So I'm going to go through some of these questions here, and then we're going to wrap it up. So think about, while we're answering these ones, think about your final words of advice for our writers, filmmakers who are sticking with us here about making a short. Okay, so Wade Cox is asking, is it absolutely necessary to have some tie to Los Angeles to succeed? I mean, that's a big question, but what do you say? No.
I think eventually Los Angeles is going to happen. like, I don't think you have to be there. I don't think you do. I think that increases with each passing week and month and day. But eventually it's going to be in your satellite as you go through this thing, and it's going to be in your orbit, and you're going to be one way or another. Los Angeles will be a part of your
Right, but
life,
you don't have to live here.
life,
No.
but you don't have to live there. I don't think so, no.
Awesome. Carlton Sato is asking, if accepted into a film festival, which includes a DCP, what is included in a DCP, and do filmmakers need to make a movie poster? Can a movie poster be digital, or does it need to be a print? Clarissa. And why?
Well, I'm gonna let John or anybody else about the DCP stuff, because I don't understand that stuff. All I know is I had to have one. You have to have everything, DCP, Blu-ray, DVD. It's just like, will make you crazy. But poster is super important. If you think about, like, when you watch films on Netflix, what do? How do you choose films if you've never heard of them? You look at their poster, you watch the trailer. Your poster, I can tell you that I got people's butts in seats so many more times, because sometimes I was the only filmmaker who had my poster up, my physical poster up. If they let you have a physical poster at the film festival, bring it. Bring your little easel, set it up. It's really important to have a physical poster, physical postcards to promote your film. And that's
Although I will
take on
say,
that.
I will add to that, I am seeing myself personally a decrease in that as more and more things are digital and green, so to speak. I mean, I don't think we've gotten a physical film submission, and I know that's a little different here.
No,
but
I just meant the poster.
Yeah, no, and I will
Yeah.
add to that but in terms of just giving an idea of how everything's evolving, I think it's been 3 years since I've gotten a physical disc or a physical film in.
Will
Everything's
you guys
been
say what DCP means? Because I don't even know what DCP means.
It's
so
a
I can't-
digital cinema. I
Digital
think
camera
it's
package.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Digital camera package.
Digital cinema package.
Yeah.
Is what it is. I'll speak from my festival side for how we do things now, and how I've seen a lot of festivals doing it now. It's just digital files.
Yeah, all digital.
A lot of it's just digital files now. Like, I'm not even, a lot of venues are just starting to take just a digital file and they'll just ingest it in and stuff like that. And that's basically kind of what a DCP is anyway. It's just basically its own isolated file on a drive and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's how we go through it. I mean, yeah, but Clarissa's right again. You got to have it all, you know, you're like, it's all
everybody
gotta be
wants
there.
something different. The
Yeah,
Europeans, they all want DCPs. Someone else wants ProRes files. You're just like, what?
Yeah, you should, and you should have a poster, even if you don't do a physical poster. You got to have at least the digital, and do a cool one as well. Like, because you know what, when festivals and programmers are looking at your films, yeah, they're not just looking at your film, they're looking at everything. I know that we do. We read the cover letters, we look at your stills. I don't want your behind the scenes stills. I don't give a crap about, like, you know, all that. I want to see your stills from the actual film, you know, give me a screen grab. I do not give a crap of you giving direction to somebody or
Like
looking
this.
into a book. Like, I don't care. Like, show me the stills.
You
of
don't
that-
want to
that's
see
what-
my female cinematographer that used to be a gaffer?
Yeah, which would, I mean, that's awesome. Tell me that in the cover letter. I just want to see the stills, because that's what I'm going to use to promote. Because one thing that is happening behind the scenes is we're thinking of ways like, okay, how can I promote this film? What does it go in well with when we're programming, right? Sometimes when push comes to shove, you know, if you have films that are totally equal, even on the balance, you might pick one over another because it pairs well with 5 other films, while this other one doesn't pair well at all. And so these are real things that happen, you know, and these are the realities that we face. But give yourself an edge. All these things give you an edge. And then what I would say is have everything digitally, and then if needed, be ready to get it physically. And then go from there.
I will say that you want to get the physical rolling though, because it takes a while to get that stuff printed, made, looking right. And you know, some festivals won't let you have a physical, but if a festival will let you have a physical, man, I've gotten distributors come to me before when I wasn't at the festival because I had a physical postcard on the table. I had mailed it to the festival and it was sitting there. So, yeah.
But with as much time as I've spent in the ad world, we do live in an over-branded world right now, but the truth is people need an image, or that word again, style, to sink their memory into. Before they know what they're stepping into, you need to give them a little flavor of what's to come. And that comes down to color palette. Like you see, we've all on this panel worn the same color together. You'll remember us as being the blood panel. Or fonts, all these things, they all play into the grammar of how you interact with the world, and people know how seriously to take you based on how well you've curated those choices. Those tell people what kind of artist you are, what kind of attention to detail they might expect in the film itself. So while those things might, there's a legendary story of many Steve Jobs. He spent a lot of time focusing on fonts, and you can say, well, he had other talents, but among all the things that play into your perception of why that's a premium product, their use of fonts is a big one. And I'm using that as one example, but be consistent with your icons, be consistent with the way you talk about it in your language. We could call that branding, which is a nauseating word, but it's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You mentioned fonts. For the love, never, ever use copperplate as your font, because the moment I see copperplate, I know your movie sucks. And
Comic Sans, totally cool.
I thought you were gonna say Comic Sans, and I was like,
Comic Sans, Papyrus, unless it's Avatar,
Papyrus.
but copperplate. I'm telling you, I have never seen a good movie that had copperplate.
That's my goal, Jonathan.
Yes, now you got to do it. Just don't do copperplate.
Now inundate Jonathan with emails just written in copperplate, please. Only submit to FilmQuest with copperplate. There you go.
And then you can prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. Just don't use copperplate.
It's Comic Sans.
That's awesome. I know, I'm always
Nathan's
like, no,
right.
Comic Sans, I hate it. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple more of these questions and then final thoughts. Let's see. Lyle Weiss is asking, how do you find crew and actors if this is your first short? How do you create a budget if you've never done it before to pay your actors and crew? What's advice for that, guys?
I would find someone who knows how.
Go ahead, Joan.
Sorry, I would find somebody who knows how. I mean, it depends where you live, because if there's a film school, I think you can get some access. If you're far from a film school, then, I think you have to, there's a lot of resources online. I think you kind of have to start that route.
Yeah. I think you got to put yourself out there and ask people. And if you go on, there's social media and everyone, you can find hashtags and things. Go find people that, who want to be involved and have a passion for it and will do that, and find your people,
Get in a writing group. I used freaking 45 people in my class in my short. I used so many people.
That's awesome. Okay, so last question is, let's see. Again, any advice on resources on finding a producing partner in LA? Again, I think you just have to network and go out and ask so-and-so if they know anybody, if that person knows anybody, do some research online. We're not in 1986 anymore where we're doing the Dewey Decimal System. Like, you have the internet, use it.
Yeah. I will say though, most people don't want to, you're kind of, unless you're willing to pay, it's really hard to find a producer for a short film. You're probably going to be the producer, and chasing a producer, I don't know, that's rough, because those people want to be paid, and
and also I think Clarissa and I have learned this over the course of working together, that usually in some cases you have to trust yourself, and if you're the one who has the passion for it, put your own effort into it, as long as it takes. Just do it, because sometimes what we do, and I feel like this is maybe something for women, we tend to think that, oh, well, that person knows more than me, so you kind of shrink back and you let that person take the lead. At the end of the day, they actually don't know more than you. You know what you know, and you have to trust yourself enough to go, okay, here's what I want. How do I get that? And take one step at a time in front of the other. Don't let somebody else take over just because you think they know more than you. It's great if somebody knows more than you, learn from them, but don't ever shrink back if it's your project and you want to go make it.
Agreed. And also reverse engineer. Look at where you want to be and how someone else did that. and reverse engineer it back to yourself so you can like take the steps that they have taken. And I think, you know, there's like Holly Shorts, I know is having there are monthly film festivals that you can kind of go to. You know, it seems to me that the film community is pretty friendly. And they are, you know, you might have something that they want, you know, you might have the idea, they're the DP and you're the writer, and then suddenly they're like, oh my goodness, I've been looking for you. So yeah, you have to, it's difficult though, isn't it? Because writers don't like putting yourself out there, but you have to.
You have to.
I do want to say one thing about the budget, because I didn't know anything about making a budget. I just started going, okay, I have 7 actors, I'm going to pay them this. And I just started building it that way. Then I got a cinematographer in, and I was like, well, how much crew do you need? And what did they usually make? And then he put that in. And then I had a line producer from a school. So I built it the hard way, but I built my own budget. I didn't know what I was doing, and I got people around me to help build that budget for me. In the real world, you hire a line producer that can do that for you. But, you know, with a short film, you can do it yourself. You surround yourself with people that can help you build on it. Like the cinematographer, I think I didn't even know what a gaffer was at the time. He's like, I need a gaffer, I need this, I need that. Well, what do they make? Okay, we'll put that in, you know? So.
Right.
And, you know, something I think a lot of writers in particular, because obviously we focus on a lot of making shorts, is a lot of writers, as I find in, because when we host the festival, we invite all the writers out too, and we try to do a couple workshops. This year, we're going to have Brian Woods, the co-writer of A Quiet Place, coming out to the festival. And yeah, kind of cool, right? And you just did it. And, you know, there's some cool stories there. I met him a couple of years ago, and there's a real story, and then there's the one that we were all told. But it's always interesting, right? But coming back to it is that we try to put things together for the writers, so it's not just watching films. But this is a question I would put to you guys with this: when you're going to like screenwriting competitions and you're involving that as part of your process, and I know not every script does, and people question what's the value in it. The value in is the networking, but you're only going to get the networking if you're going out to these festivals. Because I'm going to tell you right now, most of these festivals, they're just a competition. Right? Like for us, we're a competition. It helps you get an accolade and it helps you get a placement. And that's great as you hopefully send it out and go there, right? But how are you going to get your movie made if nobody meets you?
Yeah, you got network.
Yeah, and it just comes back to that. So when you're sending out these scripts, don't just budget for like, you know, how much you're going to pay to send to these competitions. Budget for actually attending.
Yes.
These, because if you don't go on out and partake of it, you're not going to meet the producers. You're always going to be asking that question, how do I meet them? Well, guess what? Almost everybody there with the film was also the producer of their film, right? They weren't just the director. You might meet them, and guess what? You guys just hit it off. You love the type of same films. You're like, we should do something to do, you know, all that sort of thing. And so you got to budget wisely and keep in mind that even though we're making art, as far as that goes, and that's ultimately what it is, we have this romantic idea that Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo just did this for free. And yet, no, they did it all to put bread on the table, right? And they did it all there. And now we look at it, we put it in museums that are free to go see, right? But at the end of the day, like, it is a business. You're creating a product just like white bread, right? Just like wheat bread, right? There's different varieties of it, but you're creating a product. And you have to run your project, each and every one, like it's its own individual business. And what are you going to do to get your business out there so you could get patrons and that you could put bread on the table? And it does take a little bit of money, more often than not. It doesn't have to take a ton of money, but it does take a little bit. And so you have to ask the question, you've already put in that sweat equity, which does have value into writing the screenplay, putting it out there, submitting, all that sort of that, which was real monetary things as far as it goes. But you have to ask yourself, the question is, how much am I actually going to invest in myself and invest into this career that I want as you move forward? And that's a real question you have to look at yourself. We always ask, who can invest in me? Well, don't forget to ask, how much am I willing to invest in myself?
Amazing. I think with that, I'm going to let everyone give their last final piece of advice, and we're going to wrap this up. Thank you, Jonathan. I feel inspired. I feel inspired. That was amazing. No, I'm not effing with you. I really think that was amazing. Thank you. Okay, Nate. plug anything, give your final best wisdom.
Shana, you just dropped a great nugget a couple minutes ago. This sense that we all think someone else is out there that knows more than we do, and someone else has the secret to unlocking what we want to accomplish. And that is the first thing you've got to get rid of. Your lack of knowledge of how things are done, that's your power right now. You're learning if you're at the beginning of your career. And the things you don't know are what make your style and voice special. So the way you learn and the influences you gather are the thing that are going to make whatever you make worth watching. So embrace that. It's not a weakness.
Amazing. Yes, I agree. Felicity.
I'm doing three things. Be curious, be brave, and be you.
Excellent. Joan.
Fantastic. So I'm going to be brave because it's been a while since I did that whole project. It was called Honestly Charlotte. Honestly Charlotte is also playing on YouTube. So who's ever out there, look it up, okay? Because, you know, it was fun and it was good. And maybe, you know, now you've heard a little bit of the story behind it. Maybe it can inspire you a little bit. Honestly Charlotte. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Jonathan, do you have anything else to say, or was
I was writing down Honestly Charlotte there, so I didn't forget as far as it all goes, right? You know, leading by example. No, I guess, you know, I'm going to do a shameless plug. If you want to find out any more about my stuff and what I've done, you could go to FilmQuestFest.com, where you can see my productions and what I've kind of done and what I'm doing at BohemianIndustries.com. But the last thing I would just say is, you know, everybody just, because everybody else has already said so many things in such a great way. Be prepared to be broken, right? Like, be prepared to be broken. And that's a good thing, right? Like, we talked about this networking. Nobody likes the douchebag at the festival.
Yes, nobody
like
does.
Nobody does. And and I'm going to tell you something. Film festivals pick up on that as well. Like those people that come out and act like they're better than everybody else and things like that. Don't be the douche. And number two, I'm just talking some real talk here.
I love it. This is what we're all about, you guys. The real talk.
Because at the end of the day, who wants to work with you, and then who's going to want to network with you, right? And like, you'll see. But what I'm getting at here by being broken is, for all the successes that you will have and that you might ultimately see, there are going to be some real trying moments and real trying times that make you question if you want to be a part of this, if you want to do it, how much you want to go into it. And so you really have to ask yourself these questions, like, how much is this you? How much are you willing to put into this and go forward to it? And that comes back to that self-investment question and things like that. But I'm a big believer that 99% of people can do this, because there's some that can't, but and they'll find that out very quickly. But when it comes back to it is, I'm a big believer that you got to give it a go. And if you have this in your heart and all that, you have to give it a go and to come full circle. Like, if you make it and it sucks, remember, nobody's ever going to see it. And so you get another crack at it. Right. And so you can keep going at it until you're ready for the show. Yep. You know, there's a minor league in baseball and all sports for that very reason, to, you know, get better and better and better. So
I'm going to turn your broken comment into a positive, because cracks let the light in.
Snap.
And then Clarissa, what about you? And please, if you have your book, show it so people can.
Okay, I'll plug my book. Well, there's two things. One, love your film. I know that's easy to say, but when you get on the circuit, there's going to be so many people that will say this sucks, and you'll get those haters. But there's always people that love your film. But you can't be looking outside yourself for that affirmation. You have to love your film, or they will eat you alive, and you have to believe in it. The other thing is to think big. Get your film into the European festivals. They open so many doors for me. Get the subtitles. It's not that expensive. I have a whole thing in my book about how to do it. It will open the world to you with networking, and just think big. Think big. Okay, so for us, for my plugs, lunchladiesmovie.com. It's playing as part of the hilarious anthology, which is 6 other comedy horrors on Tubi for free, on Prime Video, and a bunch of other places. You can find that at lunchladiesmovie.com. And this is my book. I made a short film backwards. No, what that has to do with it, but it has all the things I learned about how to submit, how to promote, how to get the best deals on your festivals. There's a couple coupons in here where you can get your subtitles for cheaper, and yeah, I think it's worthwhile. So
It is
good luck,
worthwhile.
everybody. Do it. It's the best thing I ever did. Making a short was the best thing. Well, hopefully there'll be more best things, but it was the best thing ever.
Best thing yet.
Awesome.
Right?
It was awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. You guys were amazing. I feel inspired. I feel like I'm ready to go, not make a short now, but go make a feature.
Yes.
Yes, because we did. But again, thank you, everybody on our panel for being here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this lively chat. And let's do it again sometime soon.